So welcome everyone. It is our second trivia event that we're hosting through Metchosin Seniors Resource Center. And this is being recorded and we'll post it on YouTube. There's going to be 20 trivia questions, which I'll flash on the screen, and you write down the answers to keep your score. Andrew is our quiz master, and he's going to go through the questions, and we'll use the honor system at the end to see who gets the most answers right. So I'm going to introduce Andrew again for those who might be watching this on YouTube. Andrew Spray was born in England, and his parents moved to Canada or his family moved to Canada in 1947 after the war. He's a graduate of UBC and attended Oxford University, where he obtained a doctorate in physics in the late 1960s. Andrew's been in Metchosin since 1975. He married Leslie, and together they raised 4 daughters, all of them spending most of their childhood years here. Our quizmaster taught mathematics and physics at Pearson College here in Metchosin. Andrew was also involved in the formation of Metchosin Search and Rescue. He is currently involved in St. Mary's Church, and he's fascinated by its history, and I think it's fair to say history in general. Since his retirement, he's been with the Monday morning group that looks after the old church and cemetery. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Andrew. Sorry, I got to get back on the right screen here. Over to you, Andrew.
Okay, one little bit of news that you might be interested in is that apparently the Blackberry Festival is going to go ahead this year. Just heard that news today. So anyway, on with the quiz.
Okay, I'm going to flash it on the screen. Got to find it there. Here we go. Oh, can you guys see it?
No.
I got to get my screen, get you guys on Zoom. I have too many windows opened here. I'm gonna turn on. There we are. Share the screen.
I don't see anything yet.
It should be happening.
Here it comes.
Okay.
Now do you see it?
Yes, I do.
I'm sharing the screen. Okay, here we go, Andrew.
Okay, first question. Name the man who in the early 1870s donated land for both the one-room schoolhouse and St. Mary the Virgin Church. Okay, question 2. All right, kind of related to the first question. Name the woman who was the first teacher at the Metchosin one-room schoolhouse. Okay, question 3. Name the Canadian Prime Minister who represented Victoria in the late 19th century.
Is that Queen Victoria or the city of Victoria?
The city of Victoria.
Oh.
Good question. Good
Was
clarification.
that a good question? Maybe not.
Yeah.
The city of Victoria.
In the late 19th.
Yeah. Think he got, anyway. When we get to the answers, we can talk about that a little more. Okay, question 4. What is the large alpine area in Strathcona Park located near Courtney? And here's a hint, we're not referring to the Mount Washington ski area, but I guess more popularly known as a hiking area. Okay, number 5. In what year did the Canadian Pacific Railway reach Vancouver? Okay, question 6. Who was the Conservative candidate for Prime Minister who ran against Pierre Trudeau in 1968? A little bit of a clue here, think underwear.
No, that helped me.
Yes, it helped me tremendously.
Okay. What early 1970s subdivision in Metchosin features street names corresponding to the zodiac? Okay, question 8. What part of the Capital Regional District is most strongly associated with the Songhees Nation?
Are you talking about
Well, like
which
Uh,
municipality?
Colwood, Langford,
Yeah,
Metchosin, Souk, etc.
Yeah, okay, so a
Just
specific.
one of those. Or no, possibly not one I mentioned. But,
Right. No, that's okay.
yeah, please, if you want any clarification of a question, don't hesitate to ask for it.
Okey-doke.
Okay, question 9. Name the English woman whose maiden name was the same as Henry VIII's third wife, but of a much later generation. And here's a hint, she came to East Souk in 1912 and was very active in the Metchosin Church and is buried in the cemetery there. She has a somewhat aristocratic name. All right. And the last question for the first 10 is what island close to Metchosin served as a leper colony? Okay, over to you, Lori.
So we're just going to take a short little break
Yeah.
before we start with the next 10 questions. And I just wanted to let people know that coming up on August 10th, next week on Tuesday, is Self-Management BC through the University of Victoria is going to be talking about the health programs for health conditions of some of the different free programs they offer for people who have chronic pain, diabetes, or other ailments. And then the next Metchosin Fire Smart event is landscaping, and that's going to be on the 26th of August. And our website and Facebook page have more information. Does anybody have any questions before we move on to the next 10 questions? Okay, Andrew, over to you.
Okay, so let's go with question 11. So name the 1925 Stanley Cup champions, but again, we'll give a little bit of a hint here. Anybody that didn't live on Vancouver Island probably would, any Canadian who didn't live on Vancouver Island would probably have no idea what the answer is here.
Maybe they don't anyway, Andrew.
That would take up most of us, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, boy. I don't know. Stanley Cup Championship.
We're referring to hockey, of course, but
Yes, I figured hockey.
yeah. All right, question 12. What is the name of the cape at the northwest tip of Vancouver Island where a Danish settlement existed during the early 20th century? Okay, on to question 13. Name the location in the BC interior where the last spike of the Canadian Pacific Railway was driven. It's a very Scottish name. All right. Now here's a thing, again, a lot of people, this would be classified as a tough question, but there is a little bit of a clue here. There was actually, I think, one of the very first railroads on the Saanich Peninsula. And the only thing that people might have a clue for it is we have this road called V&S Road. It actually got a name from the name of this railway. Okay, going to question 15, and this was quite a well-known thing back in the 30s, that there was a cult on De Courcy Island, which is somewhere kind of between Phoebus and maybe Galliano Island, just south of Gabriola, all right? But the leader of it had a very distinctive name. It's been written about in the Times Colonist Islander magazine a number of times in the past. Okay, question 16. The Josephson Concrete Works I'm not sure whether it's still in the hands of the Josephsons or not, but if it has been passed on to another firm, but we'll use the word were, located on what road in Metchosin?
Is this where the factory is or where the people live?
Where the factory is, the works. Okay, we have the Bluff Trail, and so there are two minor roads in Metchosin for which you can access the Bluff Trail. And if you can give either one of them, that's sufficient for the answer.
Oh, I don't know. How about 2 points?
No,
that's okay.
Well,
Just that we're not.
put something down and we'll rule on that when we come to look at the answers. All right.
No problem.
Now, another question relating to First Nations. There are actually 3 major groupings of Vancouver Island First Nations. And I think the spelling of at least 2 of them is quite a challenge. So as long as you can write, if it's one of those you choose, if you can write down something that can sort of, if read out, can sort of sound like the thing, the grouping, we'll give you credit.
Andrew, are the groupings based on language?
I don't think I can give you an authoritative answer to that, but I would say that the one grouping is more sort of what you would associate with sort of Greater Victoria. One grouping is sort of mid-island, and one grouping is further north. So if I can give that much of a clue, maybe that would help. All right. So on to 19. Name the man prominent in 19th century BC history who owned a hunting lodge in Metchosin and gave a significant portion of the money for building St. Mary's Church.
Was this hunting lodge down Gillespie Road?
No, but it's not far off. I think it was quite close to where Gary and Helen Fletcher live now.
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
Oh, it's on Rocky Point, on William Head Road.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is in the 19th century.
Yeah. Because of course St. Mary's Church was constructed in 1873. So
1873?
yeah. But that wasn't the question. That was just to say why 19th century. All right, and the last question. On what island is Friendly Cove located, where Captain James Cook landed in the late 18th century? And he had a much better response there than he did where he went next, was Hawaii, where he was killed. So that's the 20 questions for today. And we can go through the answers now. So again, it's 1 point for each correct answer. And if you feel there's that maybe you have an answer that's valid, even though it's not the listed one, we can talk about it. So the person who donated the land for the one-room schoolhouse in St. Mary the Virgin Church was John Whitty.
I put down Fisher. I couldn't remember which it was.
Well, Fisher is the answer to the next question.
Oh,
I
That's
just
right.
say one thing that if you've ever read through Footprints, the
Yes, I
book,
have.
you'll know that John Whitty was actually killed in a horseshoeing accident
yes, I've read that story.
the day before the church was officially opened.
What is a
Okay.
horseshoeing accident? Meaning you were kicked by a horse or
Oh, you
throwing
that bas-
horseshoes?
play the game of horseshoes.
Oh, my stars.
No, I think basically he was kicked by a horse. And he died several days. He died
Oh,
several days later. Very sad. All right, on to question 2, for which we've also heard the answer, only it was given for question 1. It's Elizabeth Fisher, was the first teacher at the one-room schoolhouse. And she actually lived for quite a while, just about where the community, not the community house, the place where that serves as the election
Community
place.
hall.
Community
The
hall,
hall?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Was
it's-
she? Is she a
Go
real? Was Tom Fisher a descendant of those families?
No,
I'm not sure about that. I don't think so.
Oh,
Tom Fisher is not related to her.
oh, okay. I wondered about.
I know Tom Fisher. I went to school with him, so I had asked him that question.
Ah.
And he said no.
But both Elizabeth Fisher and her mother and a number of children are all buried in the cemetery in at St. Mary's. Yeah. Okay, number 3. Yeah. Well, John A. Macdonald became the MP for Victoria briefly, because if you've know your Canadian history, you will know there was something in the building of the CPR called the Pacific Scandal. And as a result of that, John A. Macdonald was, the Conservatives were out of office for a while. And in fact, I think John A. Macdonald was defeated in his own riding. And I think Victoria came through and said, well, you can run in Victoria. So that's what happened. And that's how John A. Macdonald ended up between Victoria's MP sometime in the late 1880s, early 1890s.
Well, was quite a feat.
Yeah. Okay, on to number 4.
Oh,
Yeah, the area that's best known as the hiking area in Strathcona Park is Forbidden Plateau. And actually, there used to be a Forbidden Plateau Lodge, which was actually a little on the other side of Courtenay from the Mount Washington ski area. And it was a horrible road up to it. But it was a very popular place for doing riding in Forbidden Plateau, horse riding. Okay, number 5.
oh, I was really close.
I was too. I won't say how close. I was out 10 years. I got 1876.
And I got
Okay.
1888. That was a
Well-
good guess.
It was a good guess.
Yeah.
We'll come back to this one in one of the later questions.
What?
So on to number
Oh.
6. What's number 6?
Yep, Robert Stanfield.
I hope my
Yeah,
clue
I
was,
got that one. I
yeah,
got that
was
one.
helpful.
That was,
I put it down as John instead of Robert, but I got the Stanfield part.
Stanfield is good enough. Okay, on to number 7. I think this, I mean, I guess it's, I've said use the word Aquarius Subdivision because I think that's the main road through the
I
subdivision.
think it is, and I put on Rocky Point Road as well.
Okay, I mean, it certainly comes out to Rocky Point.
Yes,
but,
it does.
Yeah.
That was a logging road when I was a kid.
Really?
We used to go and pick berries.
Okay, on to number 8. We associate the song he's particularly with the
I think-
Squimalt.
That's Squimalt. I got that one.
Yeah.
oh, that's who it was.
Okay. This was again, it's kind of an interesting story, this one. She had 2 sons and I think a number of daughters, but I think one of the sons was suffering from TB or I think consumption as it was called back in 1912, and believed that the climate in on Vancouver Island would be much better place to for the ailing son. And anyway, they moved to East Souk. In fact, the place on East Souk, you may know, is Ragley Farm,
Mm-hmm.
because Ragley was the name of the estate in Warwickshire where the family lived in England. And then tragically, the other son was killed in a training for the Royal Flying Squadron at Camp Gordon in Ontario in 1917.
Hmm.
So, but she was apparently quite the pillar of St. Mary's Church. And
I got that one right.
it is buried there. And interestingly, a number, I think a number of her daughters, or at least one daughter, married a First Nation person. I think one of the things that we hope in doing this quiz is that it'll make people aware of some of the history of Metchosin, even if they don't know the answer right away.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a real benefit.
Yeah. Oops, we went backwards there, did we, or not? How did that? Oh, that's what I wanted. Yeah.
Benton.
Benting.
Oh,
Island.
Benting Island. It's now probably more commonly known as where the sounds of all those explosions take place when the arsenal at Rocky Point is disposing of expired munitions. That's where all the bangs come from.
You can
All right.
no, if you misspelled Benton.
Oh, no problem. No, if it sounds anything like Benting, give
Okay.
yourself a point.
I didn't know there was an N in there. That's good.
I didn't get it either, Jane.
Oh, I got it close enough. Bentic.
Yes, Bentic. I knew it was Bentic Island. I think you can almost walk to it at low tide.
Oh, is that right?
I've been told that. When we went to school out there, we'd hear about it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Ray would know the more about that, given the time he spent at on Rocky Point, and that's where he went to school, wasn't it?
Yeah, 3 miles one way, 3 miles home again. That's how far we walked to go to school.
Yeah. Okay, on to the. All right.
Oh,
I tried to give you a clue there, but the one time that Vancouver Island had a team that won the Stanley Cup, it was the Victoria Cougars in
Victoria
1925.
Cougars,
And it, I think the main Victoria team remained the Cougars, certainly up until fairly recent times. But anyway, there hasn't been an island team in the Stanley Cup. Probably, certainly not since the Second World War anyway, and probably before that. So next one,
yeah, Cape Scott.
I got
Cape
that
Scott.
one. Yeah, I got that one.
I
Yeah.
did.
Good. And I must say that I've been to Cape Scott a couple of times, and there's still some remnants of the old settlement there. And in fact, I think the old school, you can see some of the old desks from the school there. All right. Okay. One more question about the CPR. Actually, I think I misspelled this. It's the second A should be an E. But
I could never pronounce that. I've been past that place many times on the road.
yeah.
I could never pronounce it, and I thought it started with a G.
Well, I think Craigellachie is about. I think it's the way it's more commonly pronounced, but
Yeah,
I can't guarantee
I've
that.
heard it, but I just, to me, it was a great big long word that I couldn't pronounce.
Yeah, it is.
For the last E. Your question is funny. Where the last E? It's a. You got a
I
Y.
think-
Y there.
I think maybe the second A and the first E should be reversed, but I don't know.
What two bigger towns is it?
Between Sycamoose and Revelstoke.
Ah,
Right beside a lot of mountains. And
Yeah.
a river or lake beside it.
Yeah.
And there's a stopping off place where I think you can get gas in a gift station, and it's got
Yeah.
red roofs.
And if you ever take a ride on the Rocky Mountaineer, it actually stops at Craigellachie briefly. And the name came from. Now the interesting thing is, you were asked earlier, what year did the CPR reach Vancouver? And that was 1886. And when was the last spike driven? 1885. So
What was the last one?
the last spike was driven at Craigellachie in
Last spike.
1885,
Oh, the
but the
last one.
CPR didn't actually reach downtown Vancouver until 1886, because initially it stopped at Port Moody,
right.
which was sort of the waterfront. Well, that's where the ocean reached to. But there was a lot of fuss from Vancouver about it not reaching them. And I think have I got one other question on that? I think I do. Or maybe not. Maybe that's something I'm thinking of at another time. Anyway, yeah. Question 14. The V and S is for Victoria and Sydney. And apparently the Victoria and Sydney Railroad. And Sydney was where you could catch a ferry, which took you to Ladner. So this predated BC ferries by a long time, by nearly 60 years. But okay, number 15. The leader of the cult on DeCourcy Island was Brother 12.
There must be a story about that.
But it was quite a weird cult. but there have been books written on it.
Was it a religious cult or?
Well, I guess I'm not sure exactly what religion it would have been associated with, or what sect even it would have been associated with, but it had some unusual goings on from what I've read about it.
It's very intriguing, Andrew. You'll have to fill us in a little bit more, I guess.
Well, I'm just, it's probably the last time I read about it was probably about 15 years ago. So, and I couldn't find the book where I read it in. Or I could have been just reading about it in the Times Colonist Islander section.
Yeah.
Because it was written about there a number of times. All right, on to 17. So here we had some alternative answers, I think. Oh, no, sorry, we got about 16. We had to go to 16 first, which is Lombard.
Yep, Lombard precast.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that's operating anymore. I live on
Well,
Lombard, and I
that's-
haven't heard any noise coming from them for quite some time.
Okay.
Oh, I think they
I
are.
wasn't sure because there was a member of the Josephson family that was buried in the cemetery and actually had quite a big service at the new church. That was just not long before the pandemic that happened. And I just wasn't sure where things were going after that.
Lori, do you see a lot of cars and trucks parked along Lombard?
Not anymore. No, just
mean, they
for,
were-
just
they were
for the goose. Yeah.
They were in business last year.
Yeah, this year, and I heard they moved up island, but perhaps haven't moved all their
Oh.
equipment yet, or all their stock, whatever you would call it, inventory.
Huh.
But there's no operations happening.
Okay,
Oh,
that's good to know.
interesting.
Yeah. So on to 17. These would be the official answers, although I'm not sure whether Wooden Road has a second T in it or not. But
Huh.
I had to check.
That. I think it does actually. Yeah.
I think it could. And I had to check to make sure I didn't have Perry Crossroad and Perry Road reversed. But quite frankly, if you had Perry Road or Perry Crossroad,
I put Wooden.
well, Wooden is the same. Either one is sufficient. So,
I couldn't.
and I may be the one that has the spelling error
I
here.
couldn't
So,
remember how it's spelt.
Yeah, I should have double checked on that one. There are 2 T's, 3 O's, 2 T's. In
That is.
I should have checked on it too.
Well, thankfully, spelling isn't counting so
No.
much.
No. Spelling isn't counted on Jeopardy, so we could. Okay, this next one was the one about the 3 major groupings. And the one that I thought would be a reasonable chance that people might know would be the Coast Salish. But the New Chalmouth is up sort of beyond Tofino. And the Kwakwakawaku, I think, is more associated with the North Island. But if you had any one of those 3, or something that resembled Kwakwaka, Wakawaku, or New Chalmouth, if you had one of those answers that, or something that looked a bit like it, that would be you could give yourself a point for that. Okay. The man prominent in the 19th century BC history with the hunting lodge in Metchosin was James Douglas.
Sir
I got
James.
that one. I got that one.
Yeah, and I think Gary Fletcher actually told me exactly where he believed that hunting lodge was. It's sort of adjoining their property, and it's somewhere near Ben Acre, if you know where Ben Acre is, on
Yep.
William Head Road. Yeah.
It's on Swanwick Road, isn't
No, Swanwick is more, that's where the, what is it? Is it the Krishnamurti
Krishnamurti Center, yeah,
is off Swanwick, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, it's actually Swanwick.
Yeah,
yes, Swanwick, right.
Yep.
but, because anything with an English background, the W in Wick is often not included. But on the other hand, trying to remember the elementary school one of my granddaughters go to out in Saanich, or well, Saanich, it's in Victoria School District, which I think of it. But it always gets pronounced more as it's spelled, whereas in England it's not pronounced that way.
They just skip over some of those letters.
I noticed that the English do like to make things shorter and.
Yeah. Well, there's a place in England that is spelled capital, well, Beaulieu, which would translate in French to beautiful place. But it's called by local residents of that particular place as Bewley.
Dewey.
Bewley,
Really?
or like Bewley.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last question.
Oh, I surprised myself.
I did too.
You get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Good.
I didn't realize Nootka was an island, though. I said Nootka, so I guess I learned
No,
it was.
no, that's good enough because it says on what island. So the island is redundant. But that's actually during the Captain Cook bicentennial in 1978, I think it was. Pearson College organized during Project Week, sort of a canoe trip up to that area. And first of all, the business manager in the college, John Davis, was going to go. And then he couldn't go. And then the head of the college, Jack Matthews, was going to go and he couldn't go. So they were looking for 2 substitutes from staff, and Jean Gaudin, if you ever remember him, was one of them. And then when one of those other 2 dropped out, I joined the group. And but then the people that lived at Friendly Cove actually weren't very pleased about sort of celebrating the arrival of Captain Cook on the island. So they closed Friendly Cove during the Captain Cook bicentennial. So we actually paddled from somewhere on the road that leads west from Campbell River. I can't remember the name of the place, where we got on the steamer that serves that whole area. I think it's still running. Again, I can't think of the name right now, but we had to land just on a place that we looked like we could land on Nootka Island, some considerable distance from Friendly Cove. And what I remember is we had 5 canoes, and we had 2 people in each canoe. I think there were 2 staff and 8 students, and I think there were three staff. And when we got up the next morning, we found that 3 of the canoes had floated away.
Oh, no.
And we blamed this on one of the staff members who was from Ontario, who wasn't used to tides. So we had an interesting time paddling from there up to Tassus. And because we were going to cross Vancouver Island from some historic route. And but unfortunately, so it was just one canoe that disappeared, but there were 3 paddles that disappeared as well. And so we had a folding shovel. I don't know whether you've ever seen these camping shovels that sort of fold up. And so we tied 2 canoes together and had this pair of canoes with 2 paddles and a shovel, and made our way to Tassus that way. But on the way, we stopped at a logging camp en route and made them aware of the what had happened. The person from Ontario had the decency to go out and search for the canoe and found it. It actually came back with a reasonable salmon, which was nice. But anyway, where we stopped at the logging camp, a float plane had just landed, and we spoke to the person and said what had happened. And he said, "Oh, I'll be flying over that area later today. I'll see if I can locate the paddles." And after we'd been about an hour in Tassus, we saw a plane land, the door opened, and out came 3 paddles.
Amazing.
Yeah, and we cooked the salmon for dinner at some place we'd got to stay there. The rest of the trip was a bit of a disaster, but anyway, that's.
I think the name of those shipping, they're commercial logging, they take all kinds of equipment. There's the Uchuk 2 and the Uchuk.
That was it. It was the Uchuk 3.
And the Lady Rose is the latest one that I know of.
Yeah, the Lady Rose was more often on Alberni Inlet. But I think it also served up at that part too.
I think it did, because I think I've been on it.
Yeah.
It was a great trip to go on those working ships, because they dropped off all kinds of things and mail for people, and it was a working.
It was. I mean, we had about maybe an hour and a half to 2 on the Uchuk 3, and they stopped in at several logging camps on the way, and it was fascinating.
That day, it was a different stop every time you went on it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of our questions.
How did you guys do? Tally up your how many correct answers you got?
I got 11.
Oh,
Hey.
well done, Doris.
Well done, Doris. I
Jamie?
surprised
That's
myself.
not counting the correct spelling, because I didn't get a couple of things I didn't know. I didn't get the spelling right, but I knew the name.
That's
of the road.
okay.
That's perfectly acceptable.
Well,
So,
I surprised myself. I got 10. I thought
Wow.
that was-
Oh, well, Doris, you are the winner.
Wow, I'm impressed.
a near dead heat. Yeah.
Yay, Doris.
Well, Doris, you either get a smile card, it's a $25 thrifty food card, or one of the, it's a bag full of kind of goodies with knitting needles and yarn and puzzles and Sudoku and magazines and books. So you come to the center and you can choose which one you want. And,
Okay, I'll take a look at it next.
and then Jane will get
Well, that's
second
okay.
prize.
I'm going to take a pass, because it was just way fun to do this again.
That's fine. Thank you, Jane, for
And,
donating
I might
that.
do the same. I'll look at the knitting, because if it's something I can't use, I might just pass it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you guys, thanks for joining us. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I don't know how much I'll retain, but thank you, Andrew, for all the work you put
Yeah,
into
that was great, Andrew.
that.
It was
Yeah.
very interesting.
Well, I'm glad you 3 enjoyed it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry we didn't have more
It
today,
was,
but
it was
I-
good.
I wonder if, because some of these are such really important early Vancouver Island history and local history, whether we should put out a special invitation to the Museum Society members.
It's a great idea, Jane. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, and see if we could, because they are the ones that, and if you, as long as you stay on this theme, that would be a good
Yeah.
connection.
And one other thing, just I'll put out there, and you, anybody, let me know what you think. Well, because I find these really hard. Like, really getting. What do you think about having them multiple choice?
I think
Yeah.
it's okay the way it is.
What about you, Anne? You like-
No, she's okay.
Jane, you're
Yeah, I
okay
think-
with?
That
I
might be
like
worth a
multiple choice,
try.
but I think, I mean, I'm surprised that I actually got 10 out of 20. I thought they were pretty difficult questions, but for some reason, some of the, it was in there somewhere. Maybe some could be, you know, you could throw in a few multiple choice just to,
Or else maybe try it one time to see how it goes.
Yeah,
Right.
It's,
yeah. I'll leave it to you, Andrew. But
well, I'd say from
yes.
a teacher's point of view, it's
Oh yeah.
it's hard actually sometimes coming up with sort of credible multiple choices.
It's more work, right?
Well,
Well,
no,
I leave it-
I'm not so worried about the work, but it's just I mean, I think some of these questions, you know, could lend themselves to four credible answers. Like I say, for the Victoria Cougars, we could have had Nanaimo something, and we could have had
That was something I should have known the answer to because I've read that
Duncan-
story. But I
Duncan or
don't
something, or
remember.
Courtney something, but some of the other ones would be hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I think
You're
leave
right.
it
So,
the way it is. I'd say leave it the way it is.
but I would prefer to maybe throw in a few more questions with a hint.
Yeah, I like the hints. Yeah, and throw in some easy ones.
Yeah.
Throw us a few bones for those of us who
Yeah.
don't have the
Yeah.
history knowledge,
Yeah,
so that we can feel like, you know, we're,
I'm surprised that Lady Emily
Hopeless.
Walker was so old because I kind of remember her a little bit. I don't remember ever seeing her, but she was alive when I was a child. And I never thought of her being that old. I thought she was a younger person.
wow.
well, apparently that to a lot of people from Victoria who didn't particularly favor sort of English aristocracy, didn't like calling her ladyship, and referred to her as her ship.
Well, I never heard that. I don't know, but it seems to me I've read the story where she even had some of the native people take her into Victoria in a canoe from where she lived out in
Oh.
East Sioux.
Oh,
I'm not sure if that was true for her. It was somebody did that. I thought it was her, but I thought I read that story somewhere.
yeah. But apparently, I went to a meeting of the. I guess it's not the Metchosin Historical Society, but anyway, it was people
museum?
that were associated with it, and somebody from Souk came to it and said that she was writing some scandalous book about Lady Emily Walker. And I know there were some questions about the real reason she left England and things like that, so I don't know, but she did actually entertain the Prince of Wales at the house in Souk. It's still there.
Which Prince of Wales? The one alive?
That was the one who abdicated. Edward VIII.
Edward is okay. Okay.
He was quite the charmer, I gather. But
Yes.
and apparently they came with 6 servants or something like that. And within a year, the servants had all left to find better paying jobs elsewhere.
I kind of knew where they were. I think it was out past where Gillespie Road, but I never ever knew.
Yeah, no, it's not far past Gillespie Road.
I knew it was in that area, but I never ever knew exactly where it was or what it was called.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But anyway, I'm not sure if Ragley Farm is still operating, but it was
Yeah, I
for
never
a
knew.
while.
I never knew it.
yeah, they're taking a break I think.
They made pizzas there. They had their own pizza oven.
Yeah, they did.
Anyway,
Well, that was great.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
the next trivia is scheduled for Thursday, September 9th. Same time, same Zoom location.
okay.
So tell your
that's-
family and friends, and I'll spread the word a
that's-
bit more too, and we'll see if we can give you guys some competition, Jane and Doris.
Yeah, we're
well,
pretty,
It's been interesting.
It really has.
yeah.
I,
Okay, well, thanks so much, Andrew.
I will be including something about one of the first residents of your property.
Oh, well, I'll just have to
Well, I
Plug
knew
me
one
in.
of them.
put my
Uh,
ears in.
Yeah, I think you know who. I think you've got pictures in the in the dining room up for.
The
Yeah.
resident that was there when I was a child, I knew him well.
Yeah,
All right.
Okay,
Anyway.
everybody, I'm going to end the recording and I'll bid you adieu for now.
Take
Thanks.
care. Take
Okay.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.